Okay, let's begin. So yeah, as I say, so we got Michael on. Yeah, thanks for the message in the chat there. That's fantastic. Yeah, good to see you. And I saw your comment on YouTube. Thanks very much. Hope I can provide some help. Um, and so, as I said in the group, what I'm really going to focus on today really is certainly offering any advice or answering any questions if there are any. But I was just going to dive straight in and go over some things about the editor. So leading on from last Saturday, which was yeah, it was Saturday my time. I was sort of talking about the how funnels have helped me, and I was talking a little bit about my backstory. But I'm not going to go over that again because obviously that's recorded. I was also talking about the kind of well, certainly in my opinion, and the general opinion of funnels and why they're so important and how they're so powerful. And where the way people need to be thinking about, what a funnel can offer in terms of value. Even if you're promoting a network marketing business or an affiliate business, and I see a lot of people just promoting directly to a business offer or a business opportunity on the front end and not really providing value on those steps. And that's really what a funnel can do, is to provide value, so that people can see the point in joining and you get motivated in sort of learning who you are as a person. And people have a lot of distraction out there. People see a lot of different business opportunities, to in their opinion, what's new with what people are doing. It's all the typical, blast your link out there. But funnels are really designed to provide value. They have a very clear and concise set of call to actions. All right, people put in too many things. They might have whole multiple streams of income, and it gets very distracting and overwhelming for a lot of people. But funnels are very, very kind of narrow in some ways. Yes, you can have multiple things in there, and that's important. You have to, but they have to kind of marry up, and there has to be a kind of a point to doing all this. But today was more planned. What was planned for today is more sort of practical, because I realize people are struggling in certain areas, like particularly what they would reckon is technical. I personally don't think it's particularly technical, because you can really learn this quite easily, especially with a platform like LeadsLeap. And I did mention in the previous training why I decided to get into LeadsLeap, the benefits and the power of LeadsLeap, and why it's so duplicatable, and why it's good, particularly in our space of network marketing, because you can share the share codes. People can get on board really easily. There are all the done for you templates, and you can share all the templates that you've created, or even the share codes that you've been passed down through, from your upline, maybe if they've created some share codes. I create a lot of share codes, and I pass them down. And once you grab the share code, you can immediately, they immediately become your page or funnel, or, everything gets added to your account as yours. You can go ahead and just edit it further to make it work for your opportunity, or whatever you're deciding to do with it. And then you can share your own share code of that page that you received from me or whatever, and then share that on to your team in the way you want to be sharing it on. So it's very duplicatable, and in my opinion, very sort of viral in some way. You can really help to support your team in a very, very powerful way. So I'm going to just share my screen. I'm never, I'm in the early days of training here. I'm never sure what people are struggling with. I'm never sure what people are needing in terms of learning. People on the whole come on board with different skill sets. So this is a kind of a learning process for me, and learning what the people are sort of needing in terms of training, and depending on what they're struggling with. Some people are more experienced, some people are complete beginners, some people are complete newbies, some people are just seeing if this is going to be something that they can add to what they're already doing or whatever. So I'm just going to continue and keep going and hope that I can provide some gold nuggets or some value to as many people as possible. Cheers. So at any point in time, if you want to ask some questions, you're welcome to. I'm not going to put anyone on the spot. And if you want to use a text chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question or whatever, no problem at all. But I probably won't go on too long, probably maybe half an hour, maybe a bit longer, maybe shorter. I don't know. We'll just see how we get on, but I don't want to make this too technical. So anyway, here we are in LeadsLeap, all right? And regardless of, if you're already in LeadsLeap or not, obviously get on board with LeadsLeap. And this is another thing that's so powerful about LeadsLeap is that it's a free platform. You can use it for free, and there's a lot of value here, even for free members that perhaps even don't intend to upgrade. You may or may not decide to upgrade. There are obviously a lot of, it does definitely make sense to upgrade because there are a lot of features, extra features, like the noticeable features would be the the built-in emailing list. I mean, you can set up a list and a list campaign, and you can collect leads as a free member, and you can even broadcast to those leads as a free member. So, you can for that reason, you can set up an entire funnel pretty much and collect the leads and then communicate with those leads. So, you've got full control. However, the thing that is noticeable that, in the difference between the free and the paid, is often, a lot of people make the decision because they want to have that autoresponder. There's a lot of other features as well, which we're not going to particularly cover. But a big deal for a lot of people is just to be able to get access to that autoresponder where you can set up, a whole series of emails that are all completely done. And you can even get share codes from me that load the emails into your back office. Let me just quickly go through a few things just first before I get into anything particularly technical. So yeah, what I was basically talking about was the list manager. So you can set up lists, okay, add a new list, and I've got so many lists. There's a lot going on here. So as you can see, I set up a lot of lists. But as a free member, you can just set the list up and you can collect leads. And then, but as a paid member, if you want to add in, email follow-ups all stacked up on going out on a daily basis or whatever, you can either import them from a share code. I have plenty of share codes, or you can write them out yourself. It's quite easy. And they go out automatically. Okay. So that's pretty powerful stuff. Then obviously we've got the page manager, which I'm probably going to be talking more about today. Hold on a minute. Just going to delete some stuff. Okay, anyway. I think LeadsLeap had a bit of an issue earlier, some sort of server issue. So some of these pages were not showing. So anyway, sorry for the pause there. So here's the page manager. You can start a page, add a new campaign. And the reason why they call it campaign is because when you click this button and you create the campaign, you're not actually creating a page just yet. So, and it's an important thing to understand. So you create a page, you call it whatever you want. Something like, landing page 1. And as you can see, you don't have a page yet. But the reason why they do it like this is because you can actually put multiple pages into one campaign. Why would that be useful? Well, you can use it as a kind of a traffic rotator. So it would rotate alternately, but it would do that automatically. But there are ways you can set it so that you can alternatively create a main page, which is kind of a desktop page that will be visible on a user's desktop. So when a viewer is coming to your website from because they're on a laptop or a computer, you can set it so that that's the page that shows up. However, you can create another page and you can scale the whole thing down and make it narrow, and you can use that page and set it so that it only is visible for people who happen to be clicking on your link if they're on a mobile device. All right, so you can basically create completely hybrid pages, if you want to call it like that, like where it's it scales to the device that the user is on. All right, so there are a few options that you can choose. You can either create from a blank page or you can get a share code. So a share code would be something like, where I bring out share codes all the time. But here are some examples. So I'm going to just grab a really simple page. So here's a share code, all right? And I'll, if you don't have access to this, you can get access. I mean, I can put the link in the chat, or I can put it below. If you're getting the recording, you'll see the link to the share code page, but you don't need it now. I'm just, you might want to use it later and get some share codes. Now, these share codes are actually it's LiveGood pages, but that doesn't mean that if you're not in LiveGood, it doesn't matter. They're just templates. So once they're loaded into your account, you can edit them, completely edit them using the visual editor. So then you paste the share code into there, and then you just simply import. The way I've set these share codes up is that I ask the user a few questions. But if you're not with LiveGood, you can skip this completely because you're going to edit it anyway. So you can even just click the blue button if you don't want to fill in those and they don't make sense to you, whatever. Just do that. It's up to you. And then the page will probably show active, but if it doesn't, you can just toggle this little button here, if you see on my screen, to make it active. And then you can immediately launch the editor. But, some of the things you might want to do is just to click the settings and, add in something like the browser title. This is what the user will see in their address bar or in the browser bar at the top in the tab. And there are a few things, it's up to you what you want to just go through that. At any point in time, if you have any issues or whatever, there's always a tutorial right at the top here. Okay, where my mouse is, there's a tutorial that comes out, and then you can, it's all searchable. And this tutorial is specific to this page. So there are a lot of items here that are specific to the page manager. But let's continue. So launch editor. So everything is completely drag and drop. All right, it's completely visual and drag and drop. But if you make any mistakes, I mean, you really can't make any mistakes because there is an undo little feature right at the top here where my mouse is. You can undo everything. So, but the other thing is if you've moved it, oops, oh my God, I've moved it over to the left there. So, you can always click the little link here. It says middle, and it sends it back straight to the center. That's always a tool that I use a lot. All right. So you can line everything up, however you want. Okay. And then just make it central. And you can also, add the grid in. You notice the grid comes if you want to toggle the grid where my mouse is. So that sometimes helps. And there's a slight sort of snap to grid. When you move it ever so slightly, there's this little snap to grid, which is quite useful. So I decided to bring in this page because I wanted to show a simple thing, but there are so many things you can do. But every element that you select on the page is editable, using the right-hand side over here. You can edit everything. So I've never had any formal training in terms of setting up funnels or design or ad creation or ad copy or anything like that. I've never had any design capabilities, but I just go by what I think is nice. And over the years, I get better and better, I suppose, because I've put out a lot of stuff and I have a big team, and my team sometimes give me feedback. And it's even if they don't give me feedback, I usually get to see what people like based on what templates they choose to duplicate from what I've given out there. So I on the whole, I do find that I have a certain amount of skill, I guess. So and I've seen a lot of pages. So let me just go over what I like about something like this. So normally with a template that you get, all right, I'm going to just open up another page from LeadsLeap just to do some comparisons. So if you were to open up a new, create a new page, and I call it landing page 2. And then I add a new page, but this time I'm going to add a blank page, and I'm going to launch the editor, and we're presented with built-in templates. So let's say, for example, I'm going to start with this one. To be honest with you, I don't actually like this page that much. Um, I don't know, and it's just my opinion. I mean, the reason why I like this is because I like the bold. I like the kind of the make it slightly bigger. I like to have a few icons here. I like to make the button slightly bigger, maybe some rounded corners and everything like that. Have the border a little bit thicker. Make everything a little bit larger. Because at the end of the day, we're requiring our leads to take one simple action, and we want to make it bold and right, like seriously in your face, so they have no confusion about what they're doing, and they're kind of inspired, and it looks pretty cool or whatever. So I would probably, for me, I would definitely make these like bigger, and when you're dragging everything, remember that you can always, you can always make everything in the middle. I'll probably just remove that. And some people ask me, is it good to collect their email address and their name? And I always say it really depends. And here's the difference. Here's the general thing. So, and I also like to put the name at the top as well, generally. Okay, so if you want to make everything kind of really match, okay, so you've got the name there, and you've got the width 460, you've got the height 75, and then obviously I want to make that the same, so that needs to be 75. Okay, and then the width is the same, so that's fine. But anyway, let me just explain what I was going to explain. So if I was going to take the name, it means that you can be more personal to your list, and you can, in a way that's going to give out more value anyway, and is going to be kinder. Um, However, in some ways, I sometimes wonder if you're going to get a lot more leads, possibly if you don't put the name on there. It's quicker for them to just jump on your list, but possibly that might deteriorate the quality of the list, and maybe people are just going to jump on, and they're not really into it or whatever. So it gets a lot of it might get leads coming in faster, but at the same time, you don't know if they're going to be kind of as engaged as they would on the whole. So a name field can be better. I generally, for font, I often use Oswald or Anton, but for Oswald for subtext, and Anton for sort of main text in some ways, but it can sometimes vary. Sometimes for subtext, I use a kind of a handwritten font as well. So like on this page, you see at the top here, I've got I've got a sort of handwritten font. I like if it's going to be handwritten, I generally I like sort of this one down at the bottom there, and I like something a little bit bolder. I don't like something too italic because it's difficult to read. So as long as the font is kind of easy to read, I think it's good. So this one here, it was Oswald. I actually used I actually use Oswald. So either Oswald or Anton for a main header, possibly. Um, and this one was also Oswald. So I'm using a lot of Oswald on this page. Um, yeah, so I generally I like Oswald, to be honest. Um, but let's have a look at Anton. So Anton's a bit like this. And if you want to make it even more bold, you can just select all the text and you can click bold. But sometimes, that might be too much. And they've got an underline thing there, but maybe change. Let's have a Oswald. Yeah, I like Oswald. So you can also change the labels here. So if you want to make it more obvious of what you're asking them to do. Um, so for example, it says input placeholder. So enter your name. And I generally capitalize. Um, give them kind of clear instructions. Might be a bit thick, actually. Oops. And I like to have slightly rounded corners. Okay, so corner radius, maybe put it to about 5 or maybe more. No, 5 is good. And then, there are a few other things you can do. So I sometimes put in icons. So you've got a little icon thing here. You can put so just put, I sometimes put the icon, overlay it over the form. Maybe change the color, something like gray. And then I duplicate that so that it stays the same size and bring it down here, and then change the icon to something that suggests that this is an email. And actually that's kind of big. So, and then line it up correctly. You can also use your arrow buttons on your keyboard just to really find, you notice when I move my arrow buttons, I can move the elements, but if you just tap them, you can actually find that you can really move them around just ever so slightly. Sometimes that works well. And then if you want to put one more icon, I might be overdoing it, but just to give you an idea of how we do certain call to actions, if you want to, it might be an arrow or something. And maybe you might want to put an icon over here. It's up to you, but there are so many things you can do. And sometimes I like to make the background a little bit more narrow, so it might show up better on a mobile device. So you've got it's gonna, when you open it up into a full screen, into a preview. So you want to see how it looks on a mobile device, and it doesn't look too bad. But you might want to consider making the background a little bit more narrow, possibly. For example, just as an example, I've got this page here. If you can see, I'll just zoom in here. This page was kind of narrow. All right, so it looks fine on a mobile phone, and it also looks fine on a desktop. And then you can change the background by going over here, and then you've got so many background options. You can even put video backgrounds. You've got some video backgrounds in there as well, but so in a short period of time, you've got something that, in my opinion, looks quite presentable. But sometimes I do sometimes bring out very graphical pages, and they certainly look good. But when you're working with cold traffic, sometimes the more simple the page, in some ways, the better. So it really just depends on how you want to get them in. Target them. But the other thing you can do is add in more graphics if you want to, like you can add an image, and you've got like a misc tool. All right, so you can this is all built into LeadsLeap. So you could put in an arrow if you want, and you can just make it smaller. And you can also rotate it. So you might want to, you could do just one arrow or two. You could have one here and one here or whatever. Just depends. So, as you can see, I mean, this is just generally how I personally like to have forms, a little bit a little bit more bold than some people, maybe a little bit bigger. I might even put some borders, have a better border, possibly. Sometimes they look quite cool, like having a border with maybe 3 pixels thick, or you can just play around with the pixels. Okay, and then do the same here. Add in a quick border. Sometimes looks quite good, as in some ways, but yeah, I mean, it's slightly, I guess it slightly improves things if you want to just change the border of the main sort of the background element here, or maybe change the radius, maybe add a little curved radius if you want to. So, but that's completely up to you. So anyway, I mean, when you look at something like this, you can see that you can do anything you want with it. You can change things. You can undo anything if you've made a mistake. And as you can see, I've added an arrow here as well. You can change the preview font. Enter. Oops. Change things like that, and you see I've got an icon there. Got a few little elements here. Actually, LeadsLeap do have a few elements that you can add in. I'm not good. I mean, like a progress bar. They've actually got a progress bar, not like this, but they got some different progress bars. They look pretty good. Little animated elements. Having a little you know, a little thing at the bottom here, for example, something in the footer, just like a disclaimer, just to make it look a little bit more responsible. So if I wanted to add something in the bottom there and make it central, change the color. That kind of thing. So there you are, from the original template, it looks, personally, I think it looks a little bit better, but yeah, and you can obviously change the text. So everything is editable within the editor. And then obviously make sure you save your work, and it updates the page manager, and then you can have a look at it. You got to make it active, and then have a look at the page. And there's your page. So yeah, I mean, today was kind of practical. Don't want to go over too much stuff because obviously this is the beginning of the training, and we've got lots of training to add to the ongoing training. But if you have any questions, see we've got somebody just came in. Well, that's great. But has anyone got any questions? I think Michael was in, but somebody recently joined, probably missed a lot of stuff. But obviously, I'm going to be adding I've got this recorded, so I'm going to be posting this recording. Like if anyone's struggled with anything, or if anyone doesn't understand anything, or one thing I was going to do, I mean, just stop me anytime if you do have any questions. But one thing I was going to do was just to add a directory of images. It's quite a big directory. It's a zip file. It's got a lot of graphics, some of which I use quite a lot on my pages. All right, so things like cool little elements that you can add on your pages. Hold on a minute, let me just add that into the chat. So this is a link that goes to my Google Drive. All right, and this link is actually a download to a zip file. So if any of you guys want to have some nice graphics to add to, or as little elements to make your pages look kind of nice, then that might help. You know, when you upload and add them to your page manager, you know, you can just drag them and drop them to make them look really cool. So Michael says, look like I have a lot to learn to do. Yeah. So it's all new. Yeah. I mean, that's good to know, Michael, and glad you posted that because obviously these are early days for me in these training sessions. So it's nice to know the sort of the level that people are at. Actually, last Saturday, we had two people in. Somebody was sort of reasonably new, and then there was another guy who I'd known for a long time. Who knows all this, you know, he's almost as good as me, you know. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm good, but I'm, you know, I'm self-taught. But you know, somebody I've known since 2015, and we've worked together on a lot of projects. So yeah, Karen says, sorry, Katharina says, thank you, new to me too. Good night, everyone. Yeah, it must be getting late for you guys, and I didn't want to make it too long, but you know, gradually I'm going to learn what kind of training sessions people are going to need. So sometimes I might post something in the group and ask people what kind of thing they want to learn. So it might be helpful. Let me know so that I can sort of tailor these training sessions to what people, you know, or how I can help people. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna just wrap this up, but we've got the recording, and I'm going to Europe on Thursday. So that'll be the whole of next week as well. I'm going to Sweden. I'm going to England. So I'm not 100% sure when the next training will be, but I'll keep everyone informed. All right, cheers, guys. Thanks for coming on, and we'll do another live. It might be at a different time. I'll change the times. Maybe it might be midweek. I realized that I figured that the weekend might be better for people, but on the other hand, they're probably with their family, so I guess that may not be the case. But if people prefer like midweek, I also like to coincide with what Europe likes to do, and you know their time zone. I figure out what people in America want to do. I'm based in Japan, so it'll also. I'm not going to be getting up at 5 a.m. obviously to do these. Anyway, thanks guys. Really appreciate you coming on. And see you in the next training. And you're in Australia. Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, these might help. See you guys. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.